Hello and welcome to my training. My name is Chuck Holmes. I'm the founder of PartTimeCommander.com. Today we're going to talk about the Qualitative Retention Board. Before I go into the training, what I do want to say is this. It does vary slightly between the National Guard, the Army Reserve, and the active duty, the whole process. What you're going to see in this presentation is going to give you probably a 95% solution of what you need to know. But I do recommend you go through your chain of command with any questions or concerns you might have and how it pertains to you specifically, because the regulations and the process do change from time to time. So let's start with an overview of the QRB. And the QRB is an acronym for Qualitative Retention Board. This is a process used by the U.S. Army to evaluate the career progression of non-commissioned officers and officers. The board determines whether soldiers are meeting the standards required for continued service, assessing their potential for future leadership roles. It aims to retain high-performing soldiers and separate those who are not progressing or demonstrating the potential for future growth. What is the purpose of the QRB? It's to ensure that Army personnel maintain the highest standards of performance and leadership, to identify soldiers who are not performing at the required standards for their rank and their MOS, to retain qualified soldiers for future leadership roles, ensuring that the Army remains a capable and effective force. So who is subject to the QRB? And this is going to slightly vary between the Guard, the Reserve, and active duty. But in most cases, it typically applies to NCOs in the rank of Sergeant through Command Sergeant Major, E9. For officers, the QRB applies to officers who are in certain branches and ranks based on their promotion or career milestones. The board reviews soldiers who are at career decision points, such as the end of a specific service period or after certain promotions. Let's talk about relevant regulations. Some of the regulations that cover this process are Army Regulation 600-8-19, 600-8-29, DA Pamphlet 600-25, and AR 135-100 and AR 135-101. I recommend you find these regulations in this pamphlet online, print them out, read what applies to you so you can be more informed. So what is the process and how does it work? It starts with identifying candidates who are going to go before the QRB. The Army identifies soldiers who are due for review based on their rank, MOS, and career timeline. Next, we have the board review. The QRB examines a soldier's personnel file, performance evaluations, duty history, and any disciplinary actions they might have received. Next, we have a retention decision. The board decides whether the soldier should be retained, separated, or reclassified to another position. Let's talk about feedback. Soldiers can receive feedback on their performance in areas for improvement from the QRB. So what is the key evaluation criteria that's used during the QRB process? You have NCOs and OERs, professional development such as completion of military education courses, promotions and qualifications, behavioral and leadership qualities. That's your leadership ability, adherence to the Army values, and professional conduct. They're going to look at fitness and health, physical fitness scores and overall health, potential for further service, the ability to take on additional responsibilities or serve in more advanced leadership roles. Let's talk now about preparing for the QRB. So let's just assume that you're an NCO or an officer, you received a written notice that you are going to go before the QRB. Here are some things that you can do. Ensure all your records are accurate and updated. Ensure you have your evaluations, they're IPERM'd, they're in your permanent files. Make sure you've documented your achievements by keeping a record of your awards, your decorations, any additional qualifications or certifications that you have. Stay engaged in your professional development. Make sure you've completed the required military education requirements and you're working on self-development activities. Work on your physical fitness. At a minimum, make sure you're passing the combat fitness test every 6 months or every year in the Guard or Reserve. Make sure you look and act like a soldier. You keep your weight under control. Know your career milestones. Understand what is required for your specific officer branch at your rank, or as an NCO, what's required for your MOS and your rank. Here are some considerations when facing the QRB. What they're going to look at is your performance versus potential. They're looking at your performance in past jobs and they're looking at your potential for future jobs. They're looking at leadership and professionalism. Are your leadership abilities on point? Do you demonstrate the Army values and professionalism? Do you look and act and talk like a soldier? Documentation. Are all of your accomplishments, qualifications, and education, are they clearly documented in your records? So after the QRB is complete, there's really only 3 outcomes that I know of that you can experience. The first one is retention. This is where they decide to retain you for future service. Next, we have reclassification. This might be where they decide to have you change your officer branch or get a different MOS as an enlisted person, or separation. That's the final option. They might decide that, hey, you've done your time honorably, but the Army no longer needs you for whatever reason. What are some of the common reasons for non-retention? Poor performance is probably the biggest reason that people do not get retained. They have a bad evaluation report or multiple poor evaluation reports. Failure to meet professional development standards. You haven't completed the required military education that's for your specific rank. Physical fitness failures. You can't pass height, weight, or the APFT. Leadership issues. You don't have or you haven't demonstrated the ability to be an effective leader in accordance with Army values. If you get your results from the QRB and you have not been retained, you can appeal the process. You have that right to do that. So you need to educate yourself about the appeal process, how it works. You need to complete the required information if you decide to appeal it and submit that through your chain of command. I will tell you this though, if the Army decides not to retain you, I hope you'll take an honest, objective look at yourself and ask yourself, do I still have a lot to offer the Army? Am I doing the best I can? Am I providing value to the military? If you think you still have a lot to give and your heart's still in it, and you think you can benefit the Army as a whole, I would encourage you to appeal it. If your time is up and you're burnt out, your heart's no longer in it, I would tell you to respect the decision and move along and start the next chapter of your life. In conclusion, the QRB is an important process to ensure that the Army retains the most qualified and capable officers and NCOs. Proper preparation and understanding of the QRB criteria can significantly improve your chances of retention. Just spending a little bit of time to make sure your packet is squared away will go a long ways. Stay proactive about your professional development and ensure your records are always up to date. I appreciate you watching today's video. My name is Chuck Holmes. I'm the founder of PartTimeCommander.com. Don't forget to check out the links in the description box below this video. Also, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe if you got some value from this video. I want to thank you for watching this video. I hope you'll check out many of our other videos. And finally, I want to thank you for your service, and I hope you have a fantastic day.